you. Deputy Lawless.
Thank you, Chairperson. Ambassador, you're welcome to the committee. It's good to have you here to have this exchange. It's always good to talk. Like some of my colleagues, my first question to you goes to why did you choose to have a military exercise in the corner of Irish waters and EU waters in the first place? You can't have been unaware of the damage to fish stocks, marine life. The fishermen made you aware of it if you weren't already. But going beyond that, the Irish Government has a programme of legislation to develop our marine potential, huge infrastructural investment, everything from renewable energy through to the telecoms cables that we've already talked about. It's a very sensitive, very important part of, I suppose, Ireland's footprint. It's marine waters. It's also EU waters. It seems very curious that a decision will be taken to have an exercise within a corner of the EU, within a corner of Irish waters. As Deputy Gannon and Senator Dav already alluded to, also the submarine cables. And I know you laughed it off with the James Bond reference. I think a lot worse than James Bond happened in the last 50 years. I think that there's a real threat to a lot of this. It's also a fact, I believe, that there was circling by Russian aircraft of those same submarine cables in the last 2 years. There was an exercise where aircraft circled for many hours, potentially could have been mapping the plot of those cables, certainly were in the area. There seems to be an ongoing Russian interest in those areas of the cables where they join, and I would wonder why that is. It's also, I suppose, in terms of an area, it's the shipping lane, it's the naval gateway to Europe in terms of how you might approach, in terms of where vessels would arrive. And all this just makes you ask the question, why would you go there in the first place? If I were to play football, I don't start on my neighbour's lawn. I go out on the green field outside of it. There's the whole Atlantic Ocean in front of you. Why pick a corner of Europe and a corner of Ireland to do it in? The next question I have is in terms of the impact. Even though you've moved, thankfully, and thank you for taking that decision and your country, I think there's still going to be a downstream impact in terms of whatever manoeuvres are performed or whatever military exercise is done or whatever firing is done, the waters are still going to be knocked on. The marine life potentially will have an impact, even though it's a little bit further afield. You mentioned, I think there was a statement this evening about 5 o'clock before the meeting started, and a question was put to the Irish Government, either by yourself, Ambassador, or by your counterparts, asking has the Irish Government changed position. Now, I don't know if they have or not. I don't speak for the Government. I'm a member of the Government Party, but I'm not a Government Minister. But if they had, if any of us had, could you blame us? You know, really, with all we've seen in the last couple of weeks, the activities and the exercise, and the fact that you have chosen to perform a military exercise in the corner of what is still unusual country's hinterland, would you think it unusual or in any way surprising if we had begun to reconsider these things? And it could be said that actually Russian activity in the last couple of weeks has done more for NATO recruitment in this country than the US ever did in the last 40 years. I think it's something that you should think about very carefully. And the last question I'm going to put to you, and I'd be very interested in your answer to this. In your opening statement, you talked about theatres of war and theatres of exercise, and you talked about naval and air, etc. You also talked about cyberspace. There's been significant suggestion that Russia has played a very active part in disinformation campaigns and disruption campaigns in the UK, in the US, but also in Western Europe and also within the EU. Have you ever done that in Ireland? Will you be in a position to advise us on that today? Because that is a significant concern that Russian disinformation campaigns permeate cyberspace in this country and elsewhere. So look, I look forward to your response. Thank you, Ambassador.
Now, the famous cables, again, why there? I am not aware of any specific reason for which the General Staff of our Navy picked up this particular point of the Atlantic. I know that they have been carrying out training in all parts of Atlantic. I don't believe, and I am pretty sure, that there is no specific point of connected to the transatlantic communication cables, since just even for technical reasons, again, we are talking about 2 corvettes going there for 5 days, and again, this is, by the way, one very important point. You have to be aware, and I'm pretty sure you are, since you have good staff, they prepare good briefings for you, that the exclusive economic zone is it's not territorial waters. This is international waters, and our Navy is pretty much in their own right under international law to carry out these exercises. This exercise is a small part of the military activity around Ireland carried out by the UK Navy and US Navy. I can't recall, honestly, over recent years, while I'm here, that anybody in the press has raised an issue of environmental damage to the Irish economic interests as a result of this military activity by your neighbors. I appreciate attention paid to Russia in this regard, but I don't think that it is in any way comparable to what is going on not on a daily, but on a constant basis. There is a route of nuclear submarine traffic around the north side of Ireland. There have been numerous incidents in the past when they have inflicted lethal damage to fishermen with, the propellers taking in the nets, etc. So if you compare two things, I mean, there is nothing to be concerned really about. Now, the cyberspace. This is a developing story, and we are very well aware of dangers and the potential of harm there in many issues like intrusion into personal life, disruptions in the critical infrastructure. We've been through one of these episodes here in Ireland, as you perfectly know, with the HSE system attacked by hackers. Some suggested that Russian hackers. We have immediately suggested our resistance in the investigation of this matter, because we do have a very potent cyber criminal force within our police department. Our Irish partners decided to go some other way, but in any case, we would appreciate such cooperation, because it can only be done bilaterally. And we need to pinpoint these kind of people, if they are in Russia, in St. Petersburg, and they are doing harmful things, we have to grab them. We are interested in that. We suffer, by the way, in Russia, we suffer more than 20,000 attacks a year of a major magnitude. Out of that, I don't remember exact figure, but there is a considerable portion of ransomware attacks. And we're very concerned about that. There is nothing here other than a huge area of cooperation. We've been active with that at the UN, that we need a legal basis for that, and we have promoted UN Convention on Cybercrime, because we don't have yet the universal instrument in this area, but we do need that. That would facilitate the cooperation in practical matters in instances like the one I mentioned.